Today we're going to learn how to classify and evaluate polynomials. So the first thing we want to review is what a term is. A term can be a constant, which is just a number, a variable, which we usually represent with an X or a Y, some sort of a letter. It can also be the product, which means to multiply, or quotient, which means to divide, or a fraction, of a constant and one or more variables. So 2x squared plus 3x plus 5y minus 4x, that is what we call an algebraic expression. It's not an algebraic equation because there's no equal sign. So it's an algebraic expression that contains 4 terms. Our first term is 2x squared, the second term is 3x, the third term is 5y, and the fourth term is negative 4x. Our next definition we want to learn is a polynomial. A polynomial is an expression, and it's written as a sum, which means add and subtract, of terms, which is what we just went over, and those terms can have constant variables, but they had to have non-negative integral exponents. So all the exponents of our terms have to be non-negative, which means they have to be positive. So if you have a negative exponent, you still have a term, but it's not a polynomial anymore. It can also be products of a constant and one or more variables. So a monomial is a polynomial that has only one term. A binomial is a polynomial with 2 terms. And a trinomial is a polynomial with exactly 3 terms. Anything more, if your polynomial has 4 or more terms, you just call it or you classify it as a polynomial. However, if it has 1 term, you classify it as a monomial, and etc., etc. So, here's some examples. 4y to the third is a monomial. It's exactly 1 term. It's not added or subtracted to any other terms. 2x squared plus 3x is a binomial because there are exactly 2 terms. Our first term is 2x squared and our second term is 3x. 5x squared plus 2x minus 6 is a trinomial because there are 3 terms. 5x squared is our first term, 2x is our second term, and negative 6 is our third term. 1/2 x is a polynomial. In fact, it's a monomial. However, x cubed times y to the negative 2 is not a polynomial since it has a negative exponent. All right, another way to classify polynomials is by their degree. Okay, so the first thing we have to learn is what a degree of a term is. So we have to start small. Remember, terms make up a polynomial. So to get a degree of a term, we have to add up the exponents of the variables of that term. So if we have the term 5x cubed y squared z fourth, we're going to add up the exponents. So 3 plus 2 is 5. And then 5 plus 4 is 9, so we get 9. So again, we added to 3 plus 2 plus 4, and we got 9. And so the degree of that term is 9. The degree of the term 4x squared y is 3. And the reason that is because that variable of a y actually has an exponent of 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. The degree of a constant, so let's just say you have a constant, which is just a number, no variable. The degree of a constant is 0. Now that we know what a degree of a term is, let's talk about what the degree of a polynomial is. And that is just the highest degree of any term in that polynomial. So for example, 3x cubed y plus 2x minus 4x y squared, the degree of our first term is 4 because 3 plus 1 is 4. The degree of our second term, 2x, is just 1. And the degree of our third term, negative 4xy squared, is 3. So the highest degree is 4. So that means the degree of our polynomial is 4. Now let's talk about the definition standard form. A polynomial is going to be in standard form when the terms are arranged in descending degrees. So you put the biggest degree first. You'll put your biggest degree first, and then you will go ahead and go in descending order. So here's an example. We have x cubed first. We have the degree of 3. And then we have a degree of 2, and then we have a degree of 1, and then we have a degree of 0. So we put those in standard
Next,
form.
let's talk about evaluating polynomials.
Polynomials are evaluated by substituting given values and then following the order of operations. So if we want to evaluate 2x squared minus 5x plus 6 when x equals 3, we first are going to substitute 3 for x, and then we're going to do order of operations. So order of operations says we deal with exponents first. So 3 squared is 9. Then order of operations says that we're going to deal with multiplication. So 2 times 9 is 18, and 5 times 3 is 15. Then order of operations says that we do addition and subtraction from left to right. So we'll do 18 minus 15 first, which is 3, and then 3 plus 6 is 9. Let's do another example. Let's do 5x cubed y plus 2x minus 3y plus 5 when x is negative 2 and y equals 1. So we'll substitute the value negative 2 for x and then the value 1 for y. So first we want to deal with our exponents. We just have 1. It's the negative 2 cubed. So negative 2 cubed is negative 8. Now we're going to do multiplication. 5 times negative 8 times 1 is negative 40. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And then 3 times 1 is 3. Now we're going to subtract and add from left to right. So negative 40 minus 4 is negative 44. Minus 3 is negative 47. And plus 5 is negative 42. Go ahead and try 2 through 6 evens.